Alright, Coliseum, the final map that I have created markers for. This map is also, as far as I'm concerned, the most simple map in the game. It's very well defined by its clear, open spaces, easy avenues for attacking people, and limited kite potential. It's very, very symmetrical, but there's some things that we can definitely talk about. So, yeah, let's get on in. Starting off, the opening balconies here, you can, when harassing people, jump on this, and while jumping up and down, you can actually get a little bit more of an avenue to attack people, but you, as far as I know, you can never actually climb up onto those. Coming out into the map, let's go this way. You got a large clean area out here. Standing on these doesn't actually do anything, as far as I'm aware, so you don't have to worry about these. But you can line of sight around these pillars, and I would recommend you do that. I've got a general marker just over here to represent and demonstrate the fact that you should think about these. Quite often when I'm taking a 1v1 on a side, I end up kiting to these areas. You can try and LOS around these before LOSing around these, and then see if you can bail out. These places can be kind of traps, though, because if you find yourself kiting into these, unless you're defending close, your opportunity to get a worthwhile assistance from your allies can be hard. Now, if you come over here and you bait them away, this allows your ally to neutralize. But if you're like a last-ditch, almost dead situation, it's probably not a good idea to come here because, you know, you're not necessarily going to get help from people. So, yeah. Walking closer to the node, you've got the logs here. These I use all the time. Why? Because they are off the nav mesh. They are no valid path. Now, there's lots of logs. Basically, whenever you see logs on this map, they are no port. So you should utilize them, and you can climb up either side. One of them is more of a staggered step experience. The other one's more sloped. Actually, to tell the truth, with these and the equivalent on the other side, this is actually designed to be too high to actually jump directly onto. So what you need to do is climb on this and then up and along. This guy looks like a Tengu for some reason. I guess he's a char. So you always want to use the small crate for that. But this is super, super, super good. And I use these all the time. Not much more to say, realistically. Sorry, if we're doing it this way, before we go to the node. You also got these crates, but these are all valid. And anyone trying to steal to you... Oh, actually, I guess the very top of this is no valid path. I'll add that to the market pack then. I honestly thought that people trying to steal to you landed it anyway here, and they just came up. You can port off, but not on, I guess, on this. There is another kite available here as well, which I occasionally do. I've got it marked on the other side of the map. Is you can actually jump to this and then up, and anyone really aggressively following you will jump with you and they'll fall down instead of landing, and then you can just nip up and you're nice and you're safe and you're okay. So that's something that I on occasion do. Coming over to the node, you got the crates. There's the other side of the map, there's logs, I think it is, instead of crates. What you want to... the logs are a little bit more specific. The crates are kind of simple to understand and easy to utilize and play with. Now, for the love of God, I've always wanted to be able to get on top of this top crate. But I don't think it's possible. Quite often in Guild Wars, you think that there's a flat surface like the crate we're on, but it's actually sloped somewhat slightly diagonally. So there is a very slight area that's higher than the rest and you can make a jump from. But this isn't possible. It's okay, though, because you're generally vulnerable to projectiles being up there. Cutting around on these is always a good idea. And knowing your multiple ways on top is also good. So, for example, that jump I just made there, if you're at the base of this crate, you can't climb onto it. And what the devs want you to use is the mini crates. But if you're on the elevation of this and you jump towards it, you will. All right? So, and you need quite a lot of speed for that. But that's really important to understand and utilize. You know, fake jump someone off or whatever. That's it. That's all I really know here. Not much else to say. I would love to verify one day if some of these edges are no valid path. But as far as I know, there's none of that cheesy stuff going on. Moving along. You've got these kites here. So once again, the logs. No valid path. You've got the crates. Hiding around on these is really useful. This is especially good as well against anyone with ports, because what they'll seek to do is come through this wall. So all of here, you're really vulnerable, but you're not just vulnerable for yourself. You're also providing an opportunity for a death strike or something through the wall. So I tend to find myself hovering on these a lot because people look to ambush you through the wall, and here they can't do that, and you actually deny that completely to them. So yeah, it's all very, very simple. It's all clearly marked. There's not much more. Now, you have the edge here. So everyone really knows about the leap potential here. Everyone here really knows about the blink potential. Everyone really knows that, you know, you can bait someone off and then jaunt back up, or you can fake jump around the corner or whatever, right? Everyone knows that. There's also these, which I never do in-game anymore, ever. I never do that in-game, and you can mostly go up to the corner. If anything I do in-game, I don't try and grind along the wall. I just jump directly to the post, the top of the post, and then you can come back, and that's good. Version 1.2 will probably have that marked, to be honest. But what you might not know is that with swiftness, so I have no swiftness applicator right now, and I'm not going to do it anyway. With swiftness, it is possible to just jump around this. I'm not joking. It really is as simple as that. You can jump and you can make it around the corner. And it's a beautiful thing to behold. I think you can even practice it reasonably well. I personally have not, and I would never be able to pull it off in a game, even with the super speed heavy builds that I enjoy playing. So I don't have it marked, but it is a thing. You just got to cut the corner just right. You're basically exactly what I'm showing here, but with some swiftness. You jump early enough, you get enough height at the top of this ramp, and there you go. So just for your information, dear viewer who's watching this and seeking to learn a little bit more about the maps. So yeah, that's that half. Moving over. So the gates. Now, again, like with Skyhammer, I haven't got the stuff marked. But the statue, here, I will spectate cam for you all. So it's not marked up here, but just so that you know, you can walk around the rim of the statue here. Only to a point, and then there's an invisible wall. But you can walk around that, and there's reasonable kite potential there. And you can also, like, mess around. I don't think that there's any reliable way to get under the ramp there, though this wouldn't actually be that useful because they'd probably just melee cleave you through it. But you want to consider that, and it's the same over on the other side as well, using the statues to line of sight if you can as well at the same point. This is, as far as ranked queues are concerned, this door is never open, and none of these areas, the alternate entrance is never really available, I think. So you don't have to worry about that. Right, are we on the opposite side now? Yeah, we are. So here's the opposite side of the map. It's all very symmetrical the same. This time you'll notice in this corner there's no logs or boxes, so you actually denied a spot here while the other spawn gets one. In exchange, you get a more comfortable one here, which is actually in a more useful position. So when you're baiting someone on this, it's really awesome to land here because they can't, you know, immediately aggress you. But be careful, when you land on this, you're not going to be allowed to blink straight back up. You got to go here and then here, right? So you got to think about that. And you'll notice here that the terrain is a bit different on this one, right? There's a wider gap. This is wider than on the other side. So I don't know whether it's perfectly symmetrical and possible on both to do that jump. But yeah, same possibilities here, same crates here. We've got logs here, same situation. You've got the crates here, which you can jump onto this and then up. Always, whenever you see these, there's something you can do, and I'll show you a really cool thing in a minute when we get to mid. Same situation over here as well. It's all exactly the same. I don't really know very much. Side gate, you're not really going to interact with too much in ranked. Interestingly, I see the game seems to have loaded in more visual assets and stuff like these bloodstains and stuff. I don't remember these ever being here in ranked matches. Does it cull that away when you get enough players in? Anyway, then we got this node. So you got the logs. Now the logs, if you try and jump straight up, you can't make it. The devs kind of want you to use the boxes, right? Or obviously this slope, which is very comfortable. But remember, if you're on the node, you got these steps here, and they make it really easy. I mean, this is amazing to actually make a video of and show, because it's like, it seems so obvious. But in about 1 million games, I'll be playing and fighting people, and they'll just try and climb up like this or follow. But they'll follow slightly wrong. The best thing you can actually do is kite off of the node and run in like a loop like this. And just try and jump in like the most left arcing route as you can. Because what you're hoping your opponent will do is follow you. And all he has to do is get off this step. Then when he realizes that you're going for the logs, if you've baited him over here, when he makes the jump, he won't, right? So instead of just going like this, which is super easy to follow, you want to do like the arc, as much of an arc as possible, and hope that he takes that one extra step to lower terrain before he goes for the jump. Does that all make sense? And that might seem like way too much to calculate in the moment, but it's just muscle memory and just expectations of what you're doing. And yeah, once you're up, no valid port. No valid path, sorry. These crates are a lot more detailed. There's a lot more of them, a lot more going on. But again, I just find myself hiding around on these all the time. Being aware of the port spots. What you also want to do, this is not what these videos are about, just another tip for you all. Have a keybind set to furthest away player. Now, when you up your FOV, you can look over this wall really comfortably. And when you have a keybind set to furthest target, if you just hit that, 99% of the time, you'll take the target that's all the way over there, and you can quickly polaric leap through, or whatever. If you're a guardian, you can sword through this wall. It's really easy with just a high FOV and a thingy. It's just I'm not that try hard in the game at the moment, so I don't have either of those things actually set up. But yeah, that's a really worthwhile thing to do, and it means skipping through those walls. This map is a treat, a buttery treat to traverse, if you do so. Right, over here, not too much to talk about. Let's look at mid. So I've got marked every time. So these are not all symmetrical exactly, right? So you got logs here, no valid path, and then over here you don't have anything, right? But on the other side, you've got logs here. It's like diagonally symmetric, right? They even get some crates around as well. But over here, you got nothing. So you wanna think about that. That is relevant because that means that blue, coming from their home nodes, doesn't get. Oh, well, no, they do get it. Yeah. So being diagonally symmetrical, it does basically work. All right, so there you go. Then you got this very basic stuff here. So pile of logs. This is the really important thing that's not symmetrical, actually. You got the logs here and the crate and stuff. And this is all loads of space for no valid path. However, on the other side, you get a much smaller mini pile of crates. Okay? And the mini pile of crates really aren't that safe. It is no valid path to try and blink onto. But you get a lot less space. And it's kind of scary, honestly. Kind of creepy. You also got the whole bench here. So you're kind of safe from being ported to on this. But here's the thing, because this is quite narrow, what will often happen, I think, is if someone judges Hammer 2s you while you're standing on this, they will port to here, and the Hammer 2 will still be in range. So this is not as safe as it often feels, alright? So you want to be more reliant on coming up on the higher ledges, on this higher ledge, and then these I've got marked as flags. They're good for kiting. And particularly fake jumps. I'm really bad at those when I do it from a sedentary position. Luckily, in-game, you're always moving at the start anyway, right? So, yeah, you want to stay up on those. And even better, if you're on one of these spots and you force like a thief to a short bow or something, and then you can't re-engage the fight, which is what you want to do instantly as soon as you see that. If you can just stealth and then run to the other corner, so that when you pop back up, they've got the whole, initiative to blow to get close again. And that's a nice way of sort of kiting around here. That's not the most fun stuff, though. That's all pretty obvious. Now let's talk about these. So I did a few Game of the Days recently showing this. I actually had like 3 games in a row where I beautifully utilized these against all kinds of melee players. When you're kiting around here, I almost never anymore just walk up this ramp and hide like this and run away like this when I'm trying to shake aggro. I nearly always come slightly up the ramp and onto this, and then 2 things will and you can be very patient as soon as you're here, okay? Once you get here, 2 things will happen. 1, your aggressor will jump, and they'll make it with you, in which case you're just going to climb up and keep going, right? Or they will jump and they'll miss, and then you climb up and go. But what you want to do is wait for them to commit to coming at you here, all right? Because if you make this, if they're following you up the ramp and you suddenly do the 180 and come here and jump straight away and go straight away, before they've even realized that they want to try and make the jump, they'll see that you've hopped up here and they'll just go, oh, I'll fight you then. So really what you want to do, if you're going to use this, is be patient enough to force them to turn around and re-engage on you. Or if they see that, they might walk all the way up and then come over. And when you see that they get to about here, that's when you run over here. I hope that this is all making sense. So, there are various scenarios where you're going to do this, and then you're either going to keep charging off that way if they never went immediately for the jump after you, or if they do immediately go for the jump after you, you go this way. Their win condition is to successfully make the jump and kite with you, but more often than not, they slip off, and now you're up there, and I'm away, right? Does that make sense? And you can do this in loops as well. Like, what actually realistically happens is you come up here, you kite around this, because your line of sight into projectiles or something, you do it again, and you're coming up. I really like these spots. It's available on all 4 of the corners. All 4 of them. You get a ton of usage out of them. And then lastly, there are these spots here. Which, if you spoke to me maybe 3 or 4 months ago, I was really good at these. Probably not so much anymore. I was even getting to the point of doing these in combat. They're of very little use, but they are practicable. You're going to jump onto the corner of this, and then you're going to climb up like that, okay? And every single... So, this corner is okay, this corner is okay, and on the other side, this corner is okay, and this corner is okay. They're all the safest ways to do it, and you really want to hit it right from that diagonal edge, like so. Where I've got the flags, because again, this is kind of a pack I made for myself as much as the community, are actually just where I find it easier more often than not. And the other trick to it is you want to start the jump standing back a little bit. I say that, and now I'm messing this up here. You want to start the jump standing back a little bit, and only press W, only move forward at the very height of the arc. And once you've got the collision there, you're alright. I suppose you could also use this as a drop spot for what it's worth. You can kite away, especially as a fake jump kind of kite spot. But I've never really done that. I've never utilized it in that way. I suppose you could chain this into that. That would be kind of hype, to be honest. If you came there, they followed you, and then you just come and do this, and then you climb back up. That's kind of really cool. I love that movement. Shit, man. I kind of want to try that in a game. That's gonna get them away from you. Obviously, it depends what kind of build you're against. But yeah, I should practice that. So there you go. That's Coliseum. And so it's a beautiful map, isn't it? Because you notice everything is like symmetric. Everything is matched up. And yeah, the only other, outside of what you see in the marker pack, I don't even know that much more. There's very few things that I do know, but I've not marked. And like, this is one of them, right? So like, this is a thing. Another thing, I think on the opposite side as well, you can do this. And this is kind of nice for spawn camp. Actually hiding on this really, really early. But it doesn't offer that much more than just being low down on the ground and watching. And then obviously these plateaus, by the way, they're no valid path. And I would put a no valid path there maybe at some point in a ranked game. I'll take the time to actually go up there and do that. So that's Coliseum. That's the last of them. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this series. I hope that especially these later videos as well, with the more clear-cut maps, have also had some value for you. Depending on how many people watch these, or how people feel, or how much kickback I get for it, and, you know, smarmy and smugness from the community or whatever, I might keep going with it. I'd love to do Spirit Watch and stuff at some point. I'd love to look at Hall of the Mists, as hilarious and small as that is. I'm sure there's something. It might be nice just for that completionist level. But yeah, so the marker pack, as it is now, that's the original release. I hope you guys liked it. And if you want to contribute in any way, I seriously recommend you go to, just type Guild Wars Taco marker pack. He's got a brilliant guide on how to write them. They're very, very simple HTML script files. Most of it is in-game, placing markers. It's fun, guys. It really is. And if you take my pack as the baseline and you go further with it, be my guest. You don't need to credit me. You don't need to talk about me. You don't... Just take the pack as it exists and make it better. You know, cull stuff away, add new stuff, recolor stuff, change the art. I really don't care. Whatever the community wants, the community can have. Just as a bit of a baseline and something fun for you all. So, cheers. There you go, guys. I'll see you next time.